Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. Florida was once purple, but not anymore. Marco Rubio beat Val Demings by more than 15 points. Ron DeSantis won an overwhelming victory over a former governor and a sitting member of Congress. How and why Florida has changed. Former Miami-Dade County Mayor and a winner on Tuesday night, Congressman Carlos Giménez, joins us now. Congratulations, first of all, Congressman. What's happening in Florida? Why the change?
Well, I think we have good candidates. We have people that, in some places they try to put a square peg in a round hole. Here we've got the right candidates in the right district. And so, we know how to speak to our residents. We're a part of the community. And also we have a good infrastructure here. Our party knows how to run elections in the state of Florida. We have a certain way to run elections in the state of Florida. We do it right. We were not totally outperformed by the early ballots with mail-in ballots. We killed the Democrats on early voting, and we killed them also in Deo, but we're also pretty close in absentee. And so when you put all those factors together and we have a good organization here, that's why really we cleaned our clock here in Florida. We gained 4 more seats. I won by 28 points in a district that was purple, had switched back and forth. Now I think it's solidly red. Maria Vera Salazar won by 14. That was supposed to be the toughest incumbent race in the state. It wasn't that. Mario Diaz-Balart won by 40. And so, we saw that up and down the state. So we're really proud of the organization, really proud of the message. Had a great top of the ticket with our great governor and Marco Rubio as Senate. So it all worked out pretty well here in Florida.
Congressman, I want to ask you about your governor and senator in just a second, but I want to go back to an issue. Republicans were told for years and years that they had to embrace certain matters with respect to immigration reform, whether you want to call it amnesty or legal status. I mean, that was constantly told to Republicans. That has not happened yet, but yet they still seem to be making some inroads with Hispanic voters. So what is driving the better performance? I know that community is not a monolith, but what's driving the better performance?
I mean, if you're talking about immigration, we want legal immigration. Yeah, we like immigration, but we don't like illegal immigration. We certainly don't like what's going on at the border right now, the chaos that's going there. And so, one of the messages that I had, part of my campaign was we need to fix the chaos at the southern border. We need to fix inflation. We need to, do something, about high gas prices. Those are the messages that we had, and then also some solutions to that. And also one thing that we also did, I was asked about abortion maybe 3 times, but then look, I said I'm in favor of the ruling. I'm in favor of states' rights. But I'm not in favor of the Democrat position that basically want to have abortion at the moment of birth. That's an extreme position. And you know what? I put that head on, and I was asked that question 3 times, and then nobody asked it anymore.
All right, let me ask you a question about Florida. You have 4 potential presidential candidates in your state. So how are you going to, I guess it's great for tourism. It's great for people that are in the politics business, but how will you not, you have a very popular governor. You have Marco Rubio. You have Rick Scott, who has expressed an interest, and then you have the former president. So how do Floridians navigate the next couple of years?
I think, look, it's 2 years in politics. It's an eternity. This has to shake out. What we have to do as Republicans is come together. The adversary is not us. The adversary is Joe Biden, his administration. The adversaries are the Democrats and their crazy policies. That's who we should be focused in on, not each other. We got 2 years to figure it out. The people, the good people from the Republican Party will figure out who their candidate's going to be, and then we all need to get behind that person and make sure that a Republican is the next president of the United States, because I don't think that this country can survive another 4 years of Joe Biden or whoever is going to succeed him as the president from the Democrat Party. We need to unite. We need to save this country. We need to save this country, and it has to be a Republican president.
Speaking of coming together, you leave beautiful Florida to go back to D.C. I think it's next week to have what could be a very spirited contest for Speaker. You're in a state where Republicans did really, really well. I cannot imagine that the voters want to see a bunch of internecine fighting among House Republicans. But what do you think is going to happen next week?
Well, actually, we go back in session tomorrow. We were supposed to have some leadership votes Tuesday, but since we don't even know what the outcome of the race is going to be, are we going to be in the majority? I think that's going to be premature. I would hope that we all coalesce around Kevin McCarthy. He's been our leader, and that again we start focusing in on the real adversary, which is the Democrat Party, Joe Biden, and not us. We need to come together. I think the country wants us to come together, put out a coherent message of what we want to do as Republicans, how we are going to stop the crazy policies of Joe Biden, and what we have to offer, the alternative that we have to offer to America. Bring America back to prosperity, bring America energy back to dominance in the world, stop the chaos happening at the southern border, a coherent foreign policy, all the things that really we want as Americans. That's what we need to home in on when we get back together.
Congressman, I was trying to give you another week of vacation, but it's off to work tomorrow. My apologies. Safe travels. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.